Good morning or good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the path to BCHN. We're going to give it a few seconds here for people to kind of trickle in. We do have a pretty large group joining us today. I would love to hear where you're tuning in from. So feel free to introduce yourself in the chat and type where you're tuning in from. I'm a little obsessed with the weather right now and the change of the season, so I'd love to hear what your weather is looking like. It's nice and beautiful in autumn. Perfect day here in Portland, Oregon. Hi, Kaylee. Hi, Sarah. Welcome, welcome. We'll give it one more minute here, let people trickle in. It's raining, Nancy. Maybe that's a good thing. I see a smiley face. Hi, Brandy from Seattle. Yeah, this gorgeous fall weather is amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We have a lot to cover today, but please continue to introduce yourselves there in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and get started here. So today's webinar is the path to the BCHN, becoming board certified in holistic nutrition. I'm Felicia Royce. I'm the Director of Alumni and Career Services here. Hopefully I've met most of you. If not, I hope to meet all of you in the future. I'm joined today with Dr. Janet Ludwig, the Dean of Doctoral Studies, and Catherine Swery, if I can speak today. She is the content marketing specialist. She is going to be making sure that everything's running smoothly on the back end. You might hear from Catherine a little bit during this webinar. She might be sharing links or fielding questions. Um, and so just some brief housekeeping. You'll notice that your line has been muted, and that's just because we do record this and we will be emailing this to you. So you should get that in your inbox within about 24 hours of the webinar. But that being said, even though we do have the lines muted, we really like questions, comments. We really want to keep it lively. So feel free to ask any questions that you have, and we'll be sure to be fielding those and answering those along the way. We do have a guest speaker here, Nicole Hodson from the NANP. And then at the end, hopefully we'll be able to hear from Dr. Janet Ludwig. She's going to share some information as well. And we will have some time at the end for Q&A. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. Hi, Danielle. Hi. Okay. So who we are pioneers and leaders in online integrative health and wellness education with over 45 years of experience in distance learning. We've served over 10,000 students and graduates in 60 countries. I always like to be reminded of that. We are accredited by DEAC, the Distance Education Accrediting Commission. We are certified B Corporation. And we have so many different programs and 20 micro-credentials. Dr. Ludwig is going to be going over the programs that are in alignment with the BCHN credential. All right, so without further ado, I want to introduce all of you to Nicole Hodson. She's the Executive Director of the NANP, and yeah, go ahead and take it away, Nicole.
Thank you, Felicia. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I am very, very grateful. And so I'll tell you all a little bit about the NANP if you're unfamiliar. Felicia, can I share my screen?
Yes, you should be able to. You should have a share icon on your bar there because you're
Great.
a panelist, so you should be able to, but let us know if you have any trouble.
Okay. Are you able to see my screen? You should be seeing my associate, Louie, on my screen.
I am not able to see that. Catherine, any
Yeah,
pointers here?
I see a photo of a dog.
Yeah,
So
I can
that's
see it. Yeah.
that's
okay.
Lily. Oh, okay,
All
great.
right. Very good. I want to introduce you to my associate Louis. Sometimes he will chime in if I'm not on the right path and correct me. So if you hear him in the background, that's what he's doing. Um, All right. So, out of all seriousness, I want to tell you a little bit about the NANP. The National Association of Nutrition Professionals is the industry association for those in the holistic nutrition space. We are celebrating our 40-year anniversary this year. I'm very happy to say that I've been with the NANP for 18 years. In March, I'll hit my 19th year with the organization. It's the love of my life, other than my husband and my little Louie. It's my favorite thing to talk about, so I'm going to talk about it. I want to share with you, first of all, what you're seeing on your screen is the NANP website as it is today. And I say it that way because we are in the midst of a massive migration to a brand new, much better, more beautiful website. So if what you're seeing today is a little bit different than what you see in the coming weeks, that's what's happened. You're still in the right place. We're just going through a little bit of a migration to something a little bit better, we hope. And so our mission is to enrich the journey of holistic and functional health professionals by advocating for and empowering a diverse community dedicated to the principles of whole food and evidence-informed nutrition. And we do this through curated educational opportunities such as ACHS, advanced certifications, essential resources, and peer-to-peer support to elevate and cultivate passion-driven careers within the industry. We envision to serve as the leading and trusted resource for holistic and functional health professionals dedicated to optimizing the nutrition and well-being of their communities. And hopefully everyone on this call can resonate with what our mission and vision are. So I'm here today to talk about really a career path for our certification, which is BCHN, and that stands for Board Certified in Holistic Nutrition. So becoming board certified is really kind of the next step after graduating from a holistic nutrition program. And in order to apply, in order to become board certified, first you will want to become a member of our association. Professional members, those are people who have graduated from specific programs, especially at ACHS, and Janet's going to go over what those programs are later on. But if you graduate from one of those programs, that makes you eligible for professional membership with our association. And it also allows you to apply to sit for our board exam. Our board exam was rolled out in 2007. I actually was hired in 2007 to come on and be the credentialing director. And I'll talk a little bit about credentialing in a moment. And so I came on as the board exam was getting rolled out in a beta test form. So we've really been offering the board exam since 2007 for all intents and purposes. And so I'll talk a little bit about membership in the organization, just so you have kind of a feel for what we have to offer. We have 3 levels of membership. I've talked about our professional membership. We also have a student membership. Some of you on this call may already be student members of the NANP. I strongly urge you to stay on. I know that ACHS offers master's programs, so maybe your program is years long, and I hope that you'll stay a student member throughout those years because we have so many benefits for you. And then lastly, we have associate members. This is really for people who are able to talk about nutrition in their businesses, but it isn't maybe the primary focus of what they do. I think for everyone on this call, your primary focus is going to be talking about nutrition with your clients. And so when we look at what we offer in terms of professional membership, There are so many benefits. You have access to our career preparedness program. It is, I think, 6 or 7 lessons long. We have checklists on what do you want to have in your website? How do you get an NPI number? There's a whole document on how you can apply for an NPI number. There are so many resources in our career preparedness program. We value it at just under $400. As a professional member, you get free access to it and all of the resources in it, and we're adding to it all the time, constantly adding to it. So that alone right there is a huge, huge benefit for you. We have a robust member forum where people ask each other clinical questions. They ask questions about business. There's all kinds of circles. We call them circles that you can join. Let's say you are specializing in mental health. You can join a mental health circle and have conversations with your peers who maybe have graduated from ACHS, or maybe they graduated from another school and they offer a little bit of a different perspective. So there are a lot of networking opportunities that we offer. Perhaps the most important, the big one, Felicia, I know this is big for you. We talked about it before we got started, is access to Laura Waldo, our legislative affairs specialist. In the United States, every single state is different when it comes to practicing holistic nutrition. Laura has her finger on the pulse and understands the laws in every single state. As a member of the NANP, you get exclusive access to working with Laura. That includes emailing her or having a conversation with her and just being able to pick at her brain to make sure that you're staying in your lane and that you're not veering outside of it, and that you're practicing within your scope. Very, very important for us to do in our industry, in any industry. But our concern is you, making sure that you're practicing within your scope. So we have a lot of different offerings for people who become professional members. A lot of these same benefits are available to student members as well. And then, of course, what I'm here to talk about today primarily is becoming board certified in holistic nutrition. I'm not trying to make you dizzy. I just want to show you around our website a little bit. So NANP offers 2 certifications. Oh, come on. And our flagship is our board certification. So pretty much every profession within the healthcare paradigm has a process whereby people become board certified. It is the pride of every practitioner to pass their boards. The last time I walked into my local hospital, they had those huge, I guess they look like a flag, up. They're at least 7 feet tall with a picture of the practitioner and the board certification that they had recently obtained right there at the front door. They were very, very proud of that. So, of course, for our industry, we have a board certification. It's specific to those who are practicing holistic nutrition. And, what do you get out of it? Well, number one, you get credibility because you can stand amongst your peers in the healthcare paradigm with a board certification that says, I have achieved the top level in my industry. You're providing assurance to your clients and to those who would refer clients to you, that you know what you're talking about because you've been through the most stringent process and exam there is. It validates your hard work. It validates your skills and your knowledge. It gives you confidence. I can say that with 100% certainty. I've had people call me after they've taken the board exam and say, wow, I'm I'm just so proud of myself. First of all, that was hard. It wasn't inaccessible, but it was hard, and I did it. And I'm very proud of myself. And now I kind of have a sense of confidence that I didn't have yesterday. And it opens doors. for you in our industry. I'm very, very proud to say that, and I can't say his name, but there's a practitioner, a very public figure in our industry, who recently had a job opening in his company. He had over 400 candidates for that job, one job. He hired someone who was a BCHN because they had the BCHN credential. That's a very proud moment for NANP. Very, very proud moment for us. So it opens doors that maybe would not have been open to you had you not had the credential. The title BCHN is a title that can be used in any state. And that's because it has been trademarked by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So when you earn your BCHN, I ask, please, please, please make sure this little R that comes after the title is so important. It tells people something, that this title has been trademarked and that no one else can take it. So be sure to use that. It's very, very important for you, and it's important for the industry. And so, oh, again, not trying to make you dizzy here. When we look at, this is because we're building our site. When we look at applying for the board exam, I want to make sure that you're aware of the resources that are here for you. Okay. So first and foremost, I highly, highly, highly recommend downloading a free copy of our study guide and reading it from the page 1 to the very, very end. It is chock full of information, including what materials to study. Every single question that is posed on our exam has been sourced from the materials that we recommend that you study. We have the page number, we have the book it came from. It's all documented on our end so that we can make sure that our exam is properly validated. So please, please get a copy of the study guide, read it from beginning to end. We have application forms available for you. Of course, I mentioned that you have to be a professional member of the NANP in order to apply to sit for the board exam. I strongly recommend reading through the FAQs. It will answer all of your questions. All of your questions should be answered in those FAQs. And then really a big piece of this, and why I like to talk to audiences like you. What we have learned is that people who get into a study group and study together do way better than people who try to do it on their own. You're still in school, or maybe you're newly graduated. So you still have some of your school connections. Those are the best people to form study groups with. The people that you know, the people that you've maybe worked with on projects before, or maybe you've studied together before, so you kind of know each other's study habits. I highly, highly recommend that you get into a study group. Maybe you don't have someone that you know and want to study with, or maybe you just like to get perspective from people who went to different schools. We do have a board exam study group circle that you can get into when you become a member. And they're very, very active. I'm always seeing people commenting, okay, I just graduated from school, or I'm getting ready to graduate from school. I'd like to form a study group, or I'd like to join a study group that's already been formed. And they get together, they split the material. That's the key, right? Because there's a lot of material to cover and a lot of material to study. But if you split it up and you work together, and then you get together maybe once a week or once every other week, you quiz each other. A lot of these groups will put together flashcards that they can, quiz each other on. But getting into a study group, highly, highly recommend. Um, there are fees, of course, associated with taking the board exam. And so there's an application and then there's a board exam. For those of you who are a bachelor's and above, you can add a credential. We call it the Certified Nutrition Professional. And what that does is it tells people that you are in possession of a bachelor's or higher in our industry, bachelor's, master's, doctorate, whatever it is that you've earned. That CNP designation adds that additional level of credential to the board exam. It doesn't have a separate exam. It's the same exact exam, but you get an added credential. We ask for some more paperwork from you. You have some supervised hours that are a little bit different than the regular board exam. It's just a step up. So there is the opportunity for you to tell people, I have a degree in nutrition through the CNP. Okay. All right. So I wanted to also talk about a part of our process that is unique to the NANP. In the healthcare world, when you are a practitioner who goes to work at through a medical group or an IPA, an Independent Physicians Association, or if you go to work at a hospital or a prison or any other kind of institutional setting, they will put you through what is referred to as a credentialing process. Traditionally, the credentialing process takes place at the institutional level, not at the association level. When the board exam was being developed at NANP, the board of directors decided at that time that it would be important for us as an association and important to our members who wanted to become board certified to add that level of oversight within our process. So it's actually the reason I got hired at the NANP, because prior to becoming a holistic nutrition professional, I worked in the managed care industry and I managed a national credentialing division. So they were looking for someone who could administer a credentialing program. I had the experience, they brought me in, and I've been overseeing the credentialing process, which mirrors the credentialing process on the allopathic side. We make sure that we're doing everything that would be done at an institution here at the association level after you pass the board exam. And so we ask for a few things that maybe some other organizations don't ask for, and that's because we're going to put you through the same rigors as you would have were you going to work in a medical group or in some sort of an institutional setting. One of the things that we include, that is included standard in a credentialing process, is checking the National Practitioner Data Bank. The National Practitioner Data Bank is essentially a clearinghouse, if you will, for any kind of an adverse report against a practitioner. So let's say you're a medical doctor and you have a DEA license. If there is a complaint against or an infraction against your DEA license, that report has to go through the National Practitioner Data Bank and be logged, so that if any other organization comes and looks at the queries that NPDB, that adverse report would show. That includes malpractice. That includes, well, it's actually 14 different kinds of reports that go through the NPDB. So that's one of the things that we do at the NANP that is unique to our association. So that when you're meeting with clients and you're newly board certified or you've been board certified, you can say, look, they've even checked the National Practitioner Data Bank on me. I'm clear, I'm beautiful. And when you go through the recredentialing process every 2 years, we check it again. right? So it's very important to the NANP that we uphold the highest standards and that we're also self-governing in this way. This is one of the ways that we ensure that we are 100% certain that the people who are board certified should carry our credential. Um, I, I'm going to stop here, Felicia. Because it's a lot of information. Do you have any questions that I can answer at this point?
Yeah, so we have a lot of questions about programs, which we're going to go over in just a moment. I was curious if maybe you could talk about, we did have a question about when a student can apply for the BCHN or for the exam. If you could go over that, it would be after they graduate, but I do remember something about like there being a 2-year window. Do you mind
Yeah.
speaking a little
Yes.
bit about that?
Absolutely. So you can apply to sit for the board exam once you become a professional member of the NANP. And yes, that is tied to graduation date. So the day you graduate, you can apply for professional membership. What we're going to be looking for in your application to become a member is a copy of your graduation certificate, okay, or your degree, your diploma, whatever you got. That's what we're going to be asking for, and that validates for us what we need to know about your professional standing, okay? Um, Once you apply, let's say you graduate, I'm just going to throw out December. Let's say you graduated in December and you applied to sit for the board exam in January. Once you apply to sit for the exam, you have 12 months to actually take the exam for that application to be valid. Okay. We do require contact hours. We require 500 contact hours. However, as a new graduate, we understand you probably don't have 500 contact hours to give us, right? So the way that the contact hours work is we give you 2 years after you sit for the board exam to provide those 500 contact hours. Okay, so graduated in December, apply to take the exam in January. I've got 12 months. That whole 12-month period, I'm still considered a new graduate. If I take the board exam within that 12-month period, then I still get the benefit of having a 2-year time period after I pass the exam to provide my contact hours. 500 contact hours, don't get scared. Okay, I don't want to scare anybody with that. We split that up. 250 of those hours must be client contact hours. Okay. The other 250 are, think of them as your behind the scenes hours. This is, I'm writing a presentation. I'm putting together handouts. I'm researching for my client. I'm emailing my client. I'm talking to family members for my client, right? So there's a lot of behind the scenes work that counts as the contact hours that are not with we call them indirect contact hours. So your direct contact hours, minimally 250, that's time with your client, okay? Then the other indirect are the behind the scenes hours. And I'll tell you, those behind the scenes hours, those collect pretty darn quick, especially when you're new to practice and you don't have all your handouts written, or you're really trying to get your name out there. So you're putting presentations together to do at, the YMCA or at a natural food store or for your kids' class. I used to be the track and field mom, so I would go and do presentations for the kids and say, probably should eat before you run a race, at least once during the day before you run a long race. And so uh, those hours, they all come together to form your 500 contact hours. And once you pass the test, you have 2 years to send those to us. Did I answer the question?
That was perfect. Yes,
Okay.
that was perfectly said. I did get a question, maybe you could speak to from Kaylee. Um, Kaylee asked for the credentialing, if there is a negative report, how do you keep or reinstate your certifications?
Hmm. That's a really very, very good question. We have had incidences where we've had a negative report. We collect all of the information that we can from the NPDB. And then we also, depending on the scenario, we will go to the practitioner and ask for backup documentation, especially in cases where, like, it's a malpractice suit that got settled, right? So, what was the case? Why did you settle? How did you settle? All of that. That information then goes to our Holistic Nutrition Credentialing Board, which is which oversees our board exam and also handles any kinds of adverse issues that come up or any kind of appeal requests. Um, they'll take a look at all of the information. Very often they ask for additional documentation. They review all of that information and then they make a determination.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm gonna go a little bit back to a question that came up around hours in the exam.
Mhm.
If somebody is outside of that year window of applying, so after they graduated, maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, can they still apply to take the exam at any point, or is there a time frame that they need to adhere to?
Oh, you can apply to take this exam anytime. What you won't get is that new grad status. And what that means is that at the time that you applied to take the exam, we're going to want to see those contact hours.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that changes the period of that additional 500 hours that's needed.
yeah,
That makes total sense.
yeah.
And then for the questions that have come up around, non-contact hours and things of that nature, I highly encourage all of you to download the study guide. Everything you need to know is in there. I use that myself to help students and alumni. It's really thorough. It literally breaks down exactly what is considered a non-contact hour and what's considered a contact hour and how you can obtain those hours. So I highly recommend. Janet did put that in the chat there. So let us know if you have any questions about that. And then Holly, the BCHN versus the CNS, those are two different tracks. So at the end, you're going to get my contact information. And if you need some help kind of differentiating those two credentialing pathways, we can talk about that case by case, but those are two different tracks. So um, yeah, those wouldn't be looked at the same. And let's see here. Let's see. I think we're up to speed on questions.
Okay.
Oh, and then there was a question around contact hours. Can you start the contact hours while you're in school, or does it have to be after you graduate?
Oh, I highly, highly recommend that you start as soon as you start seeing clients. I know that when I was in school, I had to start seeing clients kind of the last quarter of my education. And yeah, you want to use every opportunity that you have, especially for those direct contact hours. Those are the toughest ones to get, especially when you're first starting out. So absolutely start your documentation. We have forms for you, and you can download those forms and you can just start right away. And then that way, every time you see somebody, you put down their initials, you put down the date, and you put down how much time you spent with them.
Awesome. That's really good to know.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, that study guide is super helpful too. So when in doubt, check the study guide because it,
Check the
it
study
will
guide.
be there.
Yeah,
Okay, so do you have anything else you want to share, Nicole?
I do. And I see Janet. I think Janet has something she'd like to say.
Great.
Right. As we talk about the contact hours, ACHS is aligned with natural grocers such that when you're a student, you can align with natural grocers and get contact hours that are approved by NANP, and you'll actually be shadowing a nutritionist uh, in person. In other words, if there's a natural store in your area, we can set you up with you going in and shadowing that actual nutritionist. So that's part of it that will help. And you can do this as a student based upon the programs that you're in with us. Just wanted to add that.
That's great. Wow, that's fantastic. I did want to share the study guide, a little bit out of the study guide with you here. Um, what, in addition to all of the great information, and I'm going to zoom here, so sorry, don't get dizzy. Look away, look away. Okay. What I want to point out here is that there are 5 domains to our exam. And in the study guide, we will tell you what key concepts you should study for each domain and how heavily it's weighted throughout the exam. So our exam is proctored online. And I don't know if you guys have proctored exams at ACHS or not. People may not be used to that. But what that means is while you're taking the exam, there's literally somebody watching you. Okay. And that's one of the ways that we maintain the highest integrity for our exam. And so while you're taking the exam, you'll have an idea of about how heavily weighted each domain is. So for example, this first domain, 1, food and nutrition, it tells you kind of what tasks you should be able to perform, what kind of knowledge you should have, and then the key concepts that you're going to want to study. And then here's my favorite part. Sample questions. Like, you know, if you're thinking about what kinds of questions are they going to ask me on this exam, we give you a taste of how the exam questions are structured. So you're not going in entirely blind, right? There's nothing more terrifying to me than going into something like this entirely blind. And so this way you kind of have an expectation. Our exam has multiple choice, true, false. There are a handful of fill-in answers, very tiny amount of fill-in answers. And the way that the exam is, because it's online, we were able to build question banks for each domain. And the system will pull randomly questions to feed you so that no 2 people ever will take the same exam. And if you, for any reason, if you don't pass the first time and you have to take it a second or third time, you can only take this exam up to 3 times. If you have to take it a second or third time, you're not going to get the same test. Okay, you will be tested on different things. That's how the system is set up. So I just wanted to share this information with you and make sure that you know that we do provide a little bit of a taste of what you can expect in terms of exam questions. I don't want anyone to get scared. I know a lot of us have test anxiety. It's not my favorite thing in the world to do, to take a test, especially something that's supposed to be hard. Let's face it, this, of all of the tests that you take in your career, your boards should be the hardest test that you take. That's the integrity of it. That's what it's meant for. But it's not inaccessible. And I want to be very clear about that. We have a very strong pass rate. Your school has a very strong pass rate, which means that you're getting prepped for this kind of experience. Do you need to study after school? 100%. How much time? I would recommend 3 to 6 months of pretty intense study. And that way it's a one and done. You pass it the first time and you're good to go. Okay. But absolutely plan on studying. And when would you want to study? I would say don't skip a beat. Maybe take a week of vacation and clear your head after you graduate. But once you're in the habit of studying and all of that information that you've just obtained through school is still fresh in your mind, strike when the iron is hot. Don't wait. Because the longer you wait, the further you get from the knowledge being readily accessible and the harder it's going to be. So I always tell people, I highly recommend that you study for this exam almost immediately after you graduate from your program. Definitely take a week or 2 to relax, but then get back in. Janet?
Yeah, I have to emphasize that. I've been through so many standardized tests with my curriculum. I cannot emphasize enough. At the time that you graduate, you are the expert in your field. Now, as you go through your career, your professionalism, you might become an expert in pediatric obesity or diabetes, but the knowledge, the whole spectrum knowledge that you've attained through our programs are essential, and they're right at the top of your head after graduation. So do it right away, like Nicole has mentioned. I can't emphasize enough from my own experience, and I'm sure everybody else who's gone through an educational endeavor. Do it now.
Absolutely. Okay, couple of other things that I would like to mention to you all. NANP, I mentioned it earlier. We have a very robust social community, if you will. This is what it looks like. Mine might look a little bit different than yours because I'm logged in as an administrator. We've got a feed. You can message, you can find friends. We have a career center that specifically has jobs in our industry. We've got a ton of resources. I mean, oh boy, you could spend all day just on this tab alone. I mentioned the groups that we have. We've got all kinds of circles that you can join, all kinds of places where you can communicate with one another. We have a learning center that is very robust. That's going to change again next year because they just made it better, which I'm excited about, but it's going to be a lot of work. There's so much here for you. If you're doing research for a paper or a project, I really, really recommend that you take a look at some of these resources because it's just sitting here waiting for you. And talk about a library of content for you. We've got our community calendar that tells you some things that are coming up, and just a ton of ways that you can communicate with people. And oh, I got kicked out. And kind of just start the conversations if you want to. We offer webinars every month. We have my favorite thing that I want to talk about, and that I think Janet is going to talk about in a moment, is our annual conference. Our annual conference is the annual conference for holistic nutrition professionals. Next year, we're going to be actually very close to ACHS headquarters. We're very excited about that. We're going to be in beautiful Bellevue, Washington. It's our second time going to this property. They did a beautiful job for us last time. It's going to be at the Hyatt in Bellevue. We are in the throes of reviewing our speaker submissions right now. Our conference starts on a Thursday, midday, kind of in the afternoon. It ends on Sunday, right around lunchtime. We offer 14 educational sessions. We have an opening and closing keynote session that everybody goes to. And then on Fridays and Saturdays, we offer consecutive sessions, 2 consecutive sessions. So you can choose which speaker you're going to go and see out of 2. And we have 6 of those sessions. Janet's going to talk about one of those sessions, which is our poster session. Laura Waldo, our legislative affairs specialist, I spoke about her earlier on. Laura also has a standing spot where she does a session at the conference. I will tell you, it is the most heavily attended session that we have. Everybody has so many questions, and this year it was phenomenal. I mean, the room was packed. It was standing room only, and we had such a great conversation about legislative affairs and staying in our lane and practicing with in our scope and all of that. And then the educational sessions are just everything that you would want from a holistic nutrition conference. We also provide 5 very carefully curated meals, so you don't have to go searching for foods that are gluten-free or that, you know, if there's dairy in it, it's marked or anything like that. We provide a gorgeous, gorgeous menu for you, plus our welcome reception. And then my favorite part of the whole thing is our after party. So we have on Saturday nights, we have our dinner. That's when we do our member meeting and our awards ceremony. And then after that, we all get together, we let our hair down, and we have so much fun. So I hope that you will think about coming. I hope you will consider coming to the conference. Janet, I know you want to talk about the poster session and some other things that have to do with the conference. I just want to say that for until the end of November, we have put together a special promotion for ACHS students and graduates. This is if you're, whether you're new or you want to renew your membership, if you use the code ACHS25, you'll get $25 off of any level of membership. We don't normally do this. We wanted to show ACHS some extra love. So please take advantage of that and come join us. Felicia, before I yield, are there any other questions that you would like me to answer?
Yeah, well, there's probably more than we have time for. So
Okay.
I also just want to reiterate to everybody that I do get a transcript of all of the questions, and I will be sure to personally follow up with those folks who've asked questions that maybe we don't have time to kind of dig into the details. But a couple of just really quick questions. Do you offer any type of scholarships or financial aid for things like membership fees or exam fees? Is there any way for anyone to tap into any type of scholarships?
We have a scholarship for attendance to the conference. That seems to be the thing that trips people up the most is getting to conference, and we want to give every opportunity for any kind of networking. And so I highly recommend that you apply for our student scholarship when it becomes available. Write a good letter. Don't give us 2 sentences. That's not going to do it. Write a really good letter about why you deserve a scholarship. Um, we accept donations throughout the year. Last year, we were able to send 5 people to conference. That was incredible, incredible. 5 people who would not have been able to afford to go were able to come to conference. So yes, that is our scholarship opportunity.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for clarifying that. That's really generous and awesome that you do that. And then practice test availability. Is there for student members or members in general, is there anywhere to take a practice test? I know the study guide does kind of break down the content.
Yeah. There is one program that we recommend. It isn't only practice tests, it's actually an exam prep, and that is called holistic consulting. It's a whole program, and the people who take that program do very, very well on our board exam. There are some out there that claim to be sample test questions for NANP. We haven't seen those, therefore we can't validate them. Until we see something, we're never going to give it our blessing. And so I really can only recommend holistic consulting.
Okay, perfect. And also going back into some of the content of your classes here at ACHS as well, and accessing some of the reading that could be very helpful in preparing for the exam as well. Let's see here. So I think we're caught up. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over. Nicole, are you sharing your screen still, or did you?
I stopped. I
Okay,
stopped
perfect.
sharing.
I can't see the same thing on my end, so just making sure.
Okay.
Can everyone see my screen
Yes.
of Nicole? Okay. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to just continue on here and hand it over to Dr. Janet Ludwig.
Oh, thank you very much, Felisa. And Nicole, it was wonderful. You've given a wonderful review of this. I also want to emphasize that we are, in addition to the programs, we are aligned with NANP. Indeed, our founder, Doreen Peterson, she has been a big part of NANP for many years. So be aware of that. We've been hand in hand with NANP and Nicole for all of these years. I myself became a member in 2013. I was a member of the board of directors, and I'm currently a special advisor, as well as I'm chair of the poster committee, which is what I want to talk to you about, which is one of the high points of the annual meeting. And you can see as a student, and you can attend and present at the 2026 NANP annual meeting. You can see the link right there that is talking about us attending ACHS last year, which I've got some pictures and showing you about that, in which our president, Tracy Abel, she attended, and we had, I believe it was 12 of our people were at the meeting there also. And talking about scholarships, last year's ACHS was available to give a scholarship to a student that had submitted an abstract for a poster presentation that was accepted. And that was for last year's program. And we're hoping to have it going this year too for the 2026. So be aware of that. ACHS is also aligned through the micro-credential, the certified dietary supplements, professional exam, and you will again get another credential. I cannot emphasize enough, as a professional, you need as many credentials as you can possibly get. And these are all certified, especially the 2 from NANP. So I can talk to you about the CDSP credential also. Next slide, please. This is the programs. Our programs, we have 9 programs, believe it or not, that are approved for you to, once you graduate, you can sit for the BCNH. In the undergraduate level, it's the Diploma in Holistic Nutrition, 2 associate degrees, and our 2 bachelor's degrees. Now, I can't emphasize enough that they are aligned with the curriculum. Our curriculum leads you into being successful on taking the board exam. So we use the same text, very similar, and are aware of what's in the exam for the BCHN. Graduate level, there are 3 master's programs are aligned with it, as well as, of course, our Doctor of Science in Integrative Health, which was just introduced in 2023. So be aware that we are all on the same page, because improving health of the people in this world is so incredibly important. Decreasing the obesity rates, being aligned with the policies that are involved in our food production and the food distribution, the humanity, the humane treatment of animals that are food animals. We are all have to be involved in improving that, and that's what we're doing. Next slide, please. These are the fun slides.
Yeah, can I add something in real quick from my vantage point, working with students who are interested in getting credentialing? Make sure if you're in one of these programs, especially the integrative health sciences programs, those tend to be more elective based. So if you take all of your classes in herbal medicine, but you want to go toward the BCHN, that's maybe not going to work out too well. So make sure if this is a track that you want to be on, that you work with your academic advisor to make sure that you are taking the appropriate classes in your program to align you. Because even though the program's approved, you want to make sure you're taking enough coursework in nutrition to support that exam and that pathway. I hope that makes sense.
So important, Felicia, and that to piggyback on that comment, 30 credit hours are required through our curriculum in order to be approved to sit for the exam. So yes, especially in integrative health and wellness, if you are taking a 60 credit program, you have to have 30 very, very specific credit hours to match what are required for this exam. So be aware of that. Good point.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Here you go.
This is the fun part. These are students and graduates that applied and wrote an abstract, submitted it, which that's open now. Once that is reviewed by an expert panel on this topics, you will hopefully be accepted to present at this meeting. And therefore you go to the meeting, you are a part of it, and you have an entire session of an hour, and I believe an hour and 45 minutes to present, and people come by, you talk to the other experts at that meeting. So this is a wonderful opportunity. So much is being used and presented at these. And as a student, you can do this, and you may take, many of these people took their assignments and turned it into a poster presentation. And the abstract is then published not only on the NANP website, but also the program. And also, I'm so pleased, Nicole, that you got this going on PubMed. You will have your abstract. It will be on PubMed. You can put it on your resume and indicate that not only is this published, so that when you send your resume in and you apply for a job, you have publications. Then you also list that you presented at these meetings, and you can actually get credit relative to that. So incredibly important for your progress in the professional field of nutrition. So this is wonderful. If you'll go on to the next slide. These are at the 2025 session, HEALCon. We had a booth there. You can see Tracy Abel is there, and then 3 of the presenters that are students of ACHS, students and 1 graduate, 1 doctoral presentation there. And the next slide is, this is where you can find out about the information on the HEALCon meeting. I urge you to come and attend. It is so much fun. The food is fantastic. The parties are fantastic. And also here is the link for the poster presentation. And I will assist you with that, putting together the abstract. I am the chairman of that committee, so it will be peer reviewed. And it is so wonderful to have all of our students at that meeting. Like I said, students, administrators, student services, the director of student services was also there too. So be aware of that. Any questions? I think we're about the top of the hour.
Can I add something to this, Janet?
Of course.
You never know what can come of doing a poster.
Yeah.
I was speaking with a member of the NANP board, actually, who shared with me just this week, I just learned that from her poster a couple of years ago, she ended up having a meal, sharing a meal with a person at a very high level at a very recognizable dietary supplement company. And when she started talking about the work that she had done in the study that led to her poster, they perked up, and she has been literally working with this very recognizable dietary supplement company to get a dietary supplement put together specifically around the research that she did. This year, they've been sending her to conferences, and she's doing all kinds of work with them. You just never know what could come from your work. And so if you're on the fence or you're doubting yourself at all, don't doubt yourself. Don't do that. Work with Janet. She's amazing. This was her idea years and years ago. This actually is her brainchild. So don't doubt yourself. Do it. You just don't know what could be around the corner for you.
Thank you. That's so heartening for you to indicate that. Let's go back to Felicia, roll back to those presentations, because I'll right here. You'll see health coaching for dementia risk. That was one of her assignments that she developed. And the person that Nicole is talking about, it was actually a preparation. It was an herbal preparation tea that a supplement company said, let's do it. She had evidence that she found through the literature where one of the ingredients in the tea was helpful for anxiety, as I recall. So be aware of this. The gentleman, John Ramatowski down in the corner, he's actually teaching in a naturopathic school. And a lot of this information that he presented, which was his dissertation, he was a doctoral student, he had presented. Similarly, all of these others are based, a lot of them are based upon the assignments that they had done at ACHS. And even though I, as your instructor, professor, I'm going to give you a really hard time to say, show me the evidence when you write it in an assignment. That's what you need to do. And that's where it's going to be helpful to present it in a professional manner. And you are the expert. That's why upon graduation, you are the expert. Take your exam at that time and go forth, because that's the top of your educational career. So thank you so much. I'd love to answer questions if we have any available or time at this.
Yeah, we are right at noon, so perfect timing. Again, I do get a transcript. I'll make sure to look through that transcript and contact any of you that might need some additional conversation around this or around credentialing pathways. You can book with Janet here. I know it's also in the chat. You can book with me. We're both happy to help. And I just want to say a special thank you to Nicole for being here and sharing all of your information and wisdom. And the NANP has just been wonderful to work with, and I'm very grateful. And thank you, Dr. Ludwig, as well. And thank you all for being here. This was a lot of fun, and really, I learned a lot even myself. So you all have a wonderful day and take care.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye.